The Munich Putsch took place in November 1920. It's also known as the Beer Hall Putsch, as it took place in a beer hall, like a pub, in Bavaria in 1923. Hitler and members of the SA burst into the hall. Hitler jumped on the table, fired 2 shots at the ceiling. He announced he was going to take over the government of Bavaria and try to persuade everyone there to support him. He was expecting the support of the head of the Bavarian government named Kahr. Kahr would not give his support, so Hitler and the SA locked him in a room from which he managed to escape at some point during the night. This escape would prove to be part of the downfall of the Munich Putsch. Hitler and the SA, along with Ludendorff, marched through Munich, hoping to win mass support. There were about 3,000 supporters with the Nazis and Hitler and Ludendorff himself. As they marched near the city centre, armed police blocked their way, which Hitler had not expected. This lack of planning led to the failure of the Munich Putsch, as Hitler was not expecting the police to be waiting. Hitler had also expected the army to support him, due to Ludendorff being an ex-army general. However, this did not happen. Again, another key reason why the Munich Putsch failed. During the scuffle of the Putsch itself, 16 Nazis were shot and killed, and Hitler himself was shot in the shoulder, and his shoulder was dislocated. Ludendorff was arrested. Hitler managed to scramble away, but later on was arrested for his part in the uprising. Hitler was put on trial for the attempt to overthrow the Bavarian government. Kahr appeared as one of the key prosecution witnesses. The charge was high treason. Hitler didn't get a lawyer, and he used the trial as an opportunity. He defended himself, and the judge was sympathetic to Nazi views, so allowed Hitler to ramble on for a very long time during the trial, and his long-winded speeches were heavily reported in the media. This led to some successes for the Nazi Party, as the Munich Putsch generated a lot of publicity. The court was sympathetic to Hitler. The judge could have sentenced him to death, but it gave him the minimum sentence for the offence, 5 years. Ludendorff wasn't even put in prison for his part in the uprising. Hitler actually only served 9 months in prison. He even received special conditions and had as many visitors as he wished. He spent his time in prison to write his book Mein Kampf, My Struggle, which outlined his views on Jews, race, the heavily racist views contained in this book, his views on communism, and a general history of himself and the Nazi Party. This book was later to become a bestseller. It clearly outlined his aims for the Nazi Party. The Nazi Party, however, was banned as a result of the Munich Putsch. Historians have debated whether the Munich Putsch was a failure or a success for the Nazi Party. In some senses, it was a failure. Hitler had set out to overthrow the government, and this had not succeeded. The Nazi Party was banned. He had been arrested. 16 Nazis had been killed. These are all key failures of the Putsch. However, it was a short-term failure, but in the long term, it was a success, as the Nazi Party was able to rethink its tactics and rebrand itself after Hitler was released from prison. Hitler decided to take the legal route to try and get to power by gaining votes, rather than attempting to overthrow the government again. He also wrote his book Mein Kampf, which became a bestseller. He got a lot of publicity from the trial, which made Hitler a national figure, which he wasn't before. So in the long term, the Munich Putsch was a success, but in the short term, it was a failure.